Welcome back, I'm Chris Moore with HVAC Pro Blog, and this week I'm going to talk about why you should size and quote your solutions on your first call every time. Without further ado, here's the training. Alright, when talking through some issues with sales teams across New England recently, one common theme I hear is not completing load calculations. Honestly, if you know me, there's no valid excuse for not sizing your system to code, the minimum required by law. I've heard some excuses like, I don't have the time, or no one else is doing this and homeowners don't see the value. Don't get me wrong, I've used these exact excuses to justify this misdeed with myself for many years. Okay, quite some time ago. We know that it isn't the right thing, like speeding on the freeway, but some people are okay with it until it costs you. So, are we going to wait until we're fined by a building inspector? You shouldn't be doing the work without a permit, and an ACA Manual J version 8 is required. Or will you wait until a job goes sideways and in court you plead ignorance that you didn't know? How about we just be a professional and implement the changes needed in the business to not only do the minimum required by law, but improve your presentation and your close rate? Here's the problem. How can you do an on-site load calculation and sales presentation in one sales call? I have 5 main points you need to address in order to make this happen. You ready? How long is your current scheduling allowing per sales call? I've heard times range from an hour to 4 hours. Sometimes as long as it takes. Most home services or industry trades are starting to lean towards 2 to 3 sales calls in a typical day. This should allow sufficient time for all parts of a real analysis of needs to include system sizing. If you're running more than this many sales calls in a day, I doubt your close rate is anything close to the national average for HVAC of 35%. How could you possibly spend the time to include the rest of the items in my list, let alone actually provide a price in the home on that first sales call? Next, complete a block load. When doing your comfort needs analysis, or whatever you term your discovery checklists, part of your site survey is gathering the details needed to complete a quick block load of the building or area. This does not take very long, maybe 30 to 45 minutes when you have a process and use the right tools. To make this process go quick, I like to have a printout of the property card from the town assessor website. This typically included a block floor plan that I could easily write or draw onto. Now, this isn't your final load calculation though. More on that later in this process. The block load will be used to create multiple option quotes in-home ready for the presentation. All right, now let's talk about an in-home presentation, or what you might term a quoting tool. When is the HVAC trade just going to admit that we need to make it easy for our customers to do business with us? How they want to do business with us. Let me cut to the chase. Homeowners ask about price because they want to buy. They're not taking 2 to 3 hours out of their day inviting you into their homes to kick tires. All right, we've all had a few with a screw loose, but on the whole, they expect to be offered a solution with a price before you leave. I don't go into a store like Best Buy, decide on a television that I want to buy, after looking at all the options, only to wait for an email which may or may not be sent in our industry regarding the price days later. Think about how much mistrust this creates. All right, now that I have all the information I need, I have to go back to my secret lair to cook up a price for you? Come on. Also, you should never email a quote anyway. If you're unable to present a full set of options to the homeowner for whatever reason, and there really shouldn't be any, then you make a follow-up appointment before you leave. Let me talk about how do you answer the just email me suggestion. I'd say, I'm sorry, we don't email quotes. And here's why. We don't believe this provides the best service to our customers. If you happen to have any questions and I'm not here to help you understand, I feel like I'd be letting you down. You spent so much time with me to come up with great options for your comfort. I want to provide you with the best service in return. And that doesn't include emailing quotes. All right, next, let's sell value and educate the homeowner. If the homeowner does not see the value in completing a load calculation, then I have to say you failed them. All you need to do in your sales process is explain why they want a properly sized system and why the code exists. Explain that some of the items that go into a load calc and how anyone just sizing based on square footage will be doing you a disservice. I used to like explaining how this help assured the system was not needlessly oversized, which would cost them more for the installation and operating costs over the lifetime of the equipment. How oversized furnaces short cycle and crack heat exchangers, or compressors in a heat pump fail. This is a great chance to set expectations regarding comfort, like the temperature setting or the outdoor design temperature, efficiency and energy savings and reliability. Honestly, the options are endless when selling the value of a properly sized system. And doing this is part of a professional sales presentation. All right, next one. You sell the system, then you complete a room-by-room load calc. Once the system's sold, then the room-by-room load calc should be completed. If you complete your site survey correctly, this shouldn't be an extra trip back to the home. A room-by-room load calculation is needed to complete a manual D duct design. If you're doing a whole home ductless application, this could be a zone-by-zone calc if some rooms are combined. But if you miss something, make the additional trip a part of a survey with your installation manager or team, like a walkthrough, to make sure you didn't miss anything. Introduce them to the homeowner, ask their opinion on some things like duct routes or ease of access. Involve them in the process before installation day whenever possible. It will create trust and dialogue that is sorely needed in most companies. If you take these steps to implement a process that included sizing and quoting in the home, your customer will not only be impressed, they will hope they can afford you. That means you need to offer financing and other buying options, right? After all, how many companies did they call that either didn't call them back or stood them up on their first date? It's not a great impression. Just think about how easy it really is to stand out in the residential HVAC industry. If you make less calls but implement those suggestions, I don't want to guarantee it, but I believe your close rate's going to go up. And there's only one way to find out. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.